Alrighty then, it's time for a Trundle game, and by the title, you know this one's a doozy. What's your one? Yeah, spoiler alert, Tristana DCs. She DCs at the very start of the game, so you know this is a very uphill game. However, there's a very fun thing I want you guys to pay attention to. Well, first off, a funny comedic thing. My team is basically the shades of purple and like blue. I just love whenever that kind of just accidentally happens. It's sort of like going to the club with friends and being like, hey, guys, red. Yeah, red. And then you all show up with red shirts. Anyways, early on, try to invade Lee Sin, you know, just... At this point, if you're in a 4v5, you might as well take super gambles, because if you lose, you might have not had a chance anyways, but whatever. I also got to point out, it's super funny that it still happens, where people severely underestimate Trundle's 1v1 prowess. I mean, if I had armor runes, I would have taken even less damage, but yeah. I mean, you guys have seen it in past videos where, like, Shyvana is like, oh, I'm gonna get this Trundle, runs at me, gets super punished, and she freaks out. I love it. The only, like, junglers that I'm even remotely afraid of as Trundle are, like, Udyr and Bolivar, and that's only if they have double buffs. All the other times, you can just kind of kite them or beat them to death. Anyways, what I was trying to say or point out earlier on is, look at the enemy team composition. It's all AD. That's already pretty bad, right? It's kind of a running joke, just build armor when people just build pure AD. It's a real bad joke. But there's also another thing there. It's all burst damage. And that's a really, really bad combination. Pure of one damage type and pure burst. And now, normally burst is good, but burst has an issue in which if you're all burst and you can't kill your targets, or the important targets, you're gonna get punished during your whole recovery phase because you already blew your load. At the risk of being censored by YouTube, essentially think of it this way. Let's say you're a dude and you have the opportunity to be with, like, you know, 3-4 people. Let's say if you go super ham, you go all out really quickly, you might not have the energy to, you know, enjoy the other 3 or 4, right? Just put it that way. Anyway, steal red, and then Lee Sin just sort of blunders into me and, you know, gets absolutely destroyed. He should have realized it was probably a bad idea to do that. So, hooray for basically free kill. Anyways, their composition being full AD burst is super bad. Doubly worse because my team composition is actually on the tankier side, ignoring Tristana and Malzahar, right? The front line is pretty beefy. And we're also pretty hard to kill because we have ways of mitigating some of their damage. Now, early on, burst is pretty strong, right? Early on before we're itemized or anything like that. So they could get some sort of advantage early on in the game, wiping us out, getting super fed and super farmed, but they're doing a lot of things wrong. They did take bottom lane, and they are grouping a little bit, but they're really bad pushers. You know, their composition is ridiculously bad at pushing, and especially against mine because we have Malzahar, and Ornn is just sticking at top lane, you know, punishing the Darius and stuff. But Ornn should have grouped up with his team really quickly to take advantage of the whole 4v5 thing and tower dove and just push down towers, win by the towers. Because I don't know if they knew this or not. Yeah, they're getting kills and being fancy and stuff, but their composition's biggest weakness, being the whole pure AD bursting, is going to punish them once my team becomes itemized. In fact, the only reason I didn't completely surrender, although I was bitter about the DCs, is that the enemy composition is so bad against Trundle, and I picked Trundle early, so this was purely by accident, and also Shen, that it's only a matter of time before they can't do anything about me. Except, you know, focus firing me with everything they've got, which is a real big problem. And that's their team's weaknesses. It's that my team is going to require a lot of effort to kill, or individually, that if in a full team fight they do that, when they're recovering, the rest of my team's just going to wipe them out. That's at least the theory behind this. And my build is also going to reflect the way to counter them too. I'm building the usual Cinder Hulk with the Titanic Hydra, but I'm going to be building a Lifesteal. And I'm going to be building Iceborne Gauntlet as well. Iceborne Gauntlet for the armor, and for the little bit of boost of damage, and for the little freezing effect. Because if you look at their composition, they're very blinky, you know, at least 2 of them are. The ones who are going to be assassinating Malzahar, maybe. Jin should never be able to shoot Malzahar. He'll be forced to shoot me or Shen or probably Darius. And if I'm using Iceborne Gauntlet, the idea is that I'm going to scatter them. I'm going to force them to use their blinks at inopportune times, because otherwise they're going to get caught. Same with my wall. It's going to force them to dash about at times that are not great for them. So my Malzahar will be relatively safe for most team fights if, you know, we're well positioned. But this is what I mean. Once my team gets itemized, their team cannot kill us. It took so much effort to get us down as we were here, and obviously they didn't focus fire properly, that once they blew their load, we just slapped them. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff I love in my videos or in any games. You guys know this. I love it when a game just sort of exemplifies, it just showcases proper team composition making, or in this case, bad composition making. I mean, everybody already knew that, you know, full AD is kind of a really, really risky thing to have as a composition. But full burst is, say, full burst AD with very little pushing power. It's just asking for huge problems. The only times they're able to actually kill any of us is when we get a little too ahead of ourselves, like in my case there, or in Shen cases right here too. They're finally starting to get their act together and, you know, pushing as a team, which they should have done way earlier. Prevented us from farming and reaching a point where they couldn't kill us anymore. Again, burst in the early game can win because it just straight up kills characters. Like, you know, you don't, most characters, even tankier ones, aren't too itemized for it. But once it reaches mid-game, once the first tank items start taking into effect, it becomes significantly weaker. That's why, you know, that's why even best assassins can't aim for tanks who are on par with them. Like I said, I died there because I got too overzealous, and that's kind of the only times they can really kill anybody at this point. Just get someone getting caught. Either way, the lifesteal, I forgot to mention why. The idea is that if I survive the first volley, like the first big old ult fest, the first assassination thing, essentially, I should probably never die through the first volleys if I manage to use my ultimate on, like, Ornn. Lifesteal will help me get up into reasonable levels that whatever cool abilities they have when it comes off cooldown won't even kill me. So, yeah, the idea is just survive, regain, and they can't kill me. You know, just adapting to them. Either way, they go in, and in this case, they do have a slight advantage because, you know, we were in a weird position. But still, though, their lack of damage is showcased there. We fought that really awkwardly, but because they just cannot kill a single one of us due to our immense amount of control, or not really control, just kind of battlefield maneuvering. We just kind of block off things, and Shen just taunts people and just that kind of stuff. And his W is really good against them. It's like they just can't kill anybody. We're too fat. We're too annoying. So, yeah. And Tristana Tristana is still DC'd, but imagine if she was here. If she was here and we didn't have to go through that early game crap of just sort of losing, imagine how worse it would have been for the enemy team, right? Again, I love this. They only had an even inkling of a chance because it was a 4v5, but their composition is so bad, it can't even deal with a 4v5 without having to have cheesed it early. So hooray for us, right? I know, it sounds spoilery or whatever that I'm mentioning, oh man, they're struggling, they're going to continue to struggle, but it's still a 4v5, and a few mistakes, like somebody getting caught off guard by like an Ornn with Drescher's Glory can cause a lot of snowball effect. But yeah. Still though, my team's automation is also spectacular. Again, I don't know if they were itemizing against them on purpose. Or, I mean, I'm sure Malzahar was with the, what you call it, the hourglass, but I don't know about the other two if they were doing so. It just works out super well. They, again, are struggling to even tickle us. Anyways, they go to do Baron, and I believe Shen actually does kill somebody, and this kind of might sound a little bit mean, but it's kind of a pet peeve of mine when, they're finally getting very serious, right? But early on, they kind of weren't. I believe the Janna or somebody was spamming taunt and just kind of being really aggressive. When normally they wouldn't be doing that because they probably get punished. But it happens a lot in situations like this. I see it a lot. When a very huge perceived advantage is, I mean, when an advantage is perceived as being super massive, players get really silly or weird. You know, they do really like aggressive plays or something and get taunty and allow themselves to take free damage because, oh lord, we can't lose. But they don't understand the actual full situation, so they eventually lose that advantage, and then they wonder why they're getting crushed. So then they have to serious the fuck up or lose, which is probably going to happen instead. This fight is actually really bad, but we don't actually lose anybody aside from Shen, so it becomes a 1-for-1 trade, which is kind of sort of scatter away. It's really messy, but it sort of showcases just how, even though we engaged in a very awkward team fight, we're probably not going to die. Anyways, Tristana is fully back too now, which is kind of fun because the enemy team was struggling in the 4v5, and now there's a full-on 5v5 with Tristana. It's pretty much going to seal the deal. Although, you know, again, these weird little scattered chasing kills is kind of really stupid of us. And then Tristana gets killed because she just kind of hangs about, which in that case might have been better if she stayed DC'd. But either way, here the enemy gets in a really awkward, awkward position where we can't really punish it. That's like a really frustrating chase because this is like they're getting almost equally as tanky, and honestly, Janna, I hate Janna so goddamn much. And they burn everything so much to just try to escape from us. It's pretty fun to see. But it's sort of, again, showcasing that the composition is essentially failing them. I do believe they managed to kill somebody here because we got a little too, you know, aggro. And it turns out it's a Shen again. Poor Shen. He's like the best bro in this entire game, although he was a huge ass to the Tristana once she came back. But yeah. One of the enemy team, though, not realizing that, hey, we just blew everything being weird, we should probably just get back, decided to go forward. Zed gets himself caught because, again, he has nothing to escape with anymore. So does Lee Sin. And then we give chase to the remaining survivors, although, or at least kind of a weird chase. I just kind of tried looking for them. The next weird chase is coming up. But you see what I mean? They blow their load and they don't realize they could do that again until like an hour or two after, or until they have a really nice meal to get that energy back up, right? You see, and even then you mostly can go a few times again. Yeah, please don't censor me, YouTube. Anyways, like I said, my team composition is essentially building upon itself. It's the anti-that team build. Normally, I wouldn't fully take it, or at least in the order I did, or in the combination I did. Like, I usually don't buy Titanic Hydra with Blade the Root King. But in this case, I sort of felt, you know, it was really necessary. But yeah, Zed gets caught, and then lo and behold, they have even less damage than the piddly damage they have, and they just basically tickle us. It's like, they just can't do anything. And in the chase, they have to blow so much to even have a chance of surviving. It's beautiful. And they still have more kills than us, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm thinking, I was trying to think of ways they could itemize against us, and I guess the only thing is like the Whisper builds, but yeah, it's not going to happen at this point or at all. We easily get the Baron, and at this point, the enemy team is just, you know, doomed. Like, super doomed. Plus, again, Tristana being back is amazing. And to its credit, he knew, or she knew, I don't know, that, you know, just stay away from the fight and keep farming up, and then I'll be useful. Sadly, I get caught because he decided to blow basically everything on me, like literally everything on me. And, you know, I get killed for that, and you can see that they're struggling to even tickle Shen at this point. They do kill him, I believe. You know, just only because he was in a really awkward position, and they get to just constantly pummel him. But again, look at how much effort that whole thing took. And in the meantime, the super minions prove themselves to be godlike and take both the Nexus turrets. It's like, it's just, this is, I wish I could know what they were feeling at this point. It's like I'm pretty sure it's a huge sense of hopelessness, and I can tell that at least the Zed was super frustrated because that maneuver he did just reeked of frustration. Him and Ornn get caught and destroyed, and that was a really bad wall on my end actually. And then we give super chase to these two, and almost actually managed to grab them just a little bit away from my wall, being able to trap them fully. So, you know, I burned absolutely everything I could, and he actually managed to survive it. You know, just kind of walking away. But then we just take the turret, and they can, again, even under a turret, they don't deal that much to us. We just have ways of mitigating and just being awesome. Darius sweeps from the side, doesn't amount to very much, but we decided to continue pushing. And this, I mean, this little scene is just, it's pretty gorgeous. A lot of credit to, again, the Shen, despite him being kind of a jerk to the Tristana. He provided a lot of meat shield goodness. They jump on him, again, blowing everything because he's the lowest, so I guess they have a chance of killing him. But they can't kill him fast enough, so he gets a really beautiful dash through all of them, and they basically evaporate. They melt. And with that, it's just a victory. It's like, it was fun to see that really slow grind of their team composition. Yeah. Anyways, hooray for Trundle. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, make a comment below in the comment section, and also give the video a like. That helps the channel a lot more than you think.